Okay. Going to call the Department of Homeland Security. Let's see.
Please listen carefully as our menu options have changed. Thank you for calling the Homeland Security Investigations tip line. If you have a life or death emergency, please hang up and dial 911. If you are calling from a law enforcement agency, please press 3. Para español, oprima número 7. If you are calling to provide a tip or add information to previously provided tip, please note that all tips followed with the tip line are considered law enforcement sensitive and confidential. Not all tips result in law enforcement action, and we will not provide you with the status of your tip report. Also note that once the tip report is filed, it cannot be canceled. To file a new tip report or add information to an existing tip report, press 1. For general information about Homeland Security investigations, the HSI tip line is for reporting suspected crimes and violations of United States laws within the jurisdiction of the Department of Homeland Security. All information received on the tip line will be reviewed by the appropriate HSI personnel and forwarded as deemed appropriate. HSI retains the discretion to act on any information received, and there is no guarantee your report will result in a law enforcement action. Please note that we are not able to provide you with any possible time frames regarding when or if your report will be acted upon. Your call will be recorded, and filing a false report is a crime and violators may be prosecuted. Please select from the following options and the next available analyst will take your call. Hold times will vary. Select from one of the following 8 options. To report information about a most wanted fugitive, press 1. To report instances where alien victims were brought into the U.S. for the purpose of sexual exploitation or forced labor, also known as human trafficking, please press 2 now. To report the smuggling of aliens into or throughout the United States, please press 3 now. To report customs violations, such as drug smuggling or the import-export of counterfeit merchandise, please press 4. To report immigration violations, such as the presence of undocumented aliens, the employment of undocumented aliens, or immigration fraud, please press 5. To report child exploitation crimes, such as child pornography, or foreign travel to engage in unlawful activities with children, press 6. To report terrorist activity or information related to national security, press 7. To report financial crimes such as banking violations.
Homeland Security Investigation Tip Line.
Yes, hello. I need to give a tip about a group of domestic terrorists that have been operating out of Denver, Colorado for over 2 decades, and they're currently organizing a lot of high-profile abductions and murder cases and arson and other stuff like that. So I just need to offer as much information that would be helpful to get this investigation going.
Who else have you told about this?
I have told over a dozen jurisdictions of police, my local department. I've talked to Internal Affairs at Arapahoe County, and I've also contacted the FBI Citizens Division out of Las Vegas. And they have been receiving reports for over 2 years now when we first received death threats, and they have known about this group being murderers for 16 months since October of 2012. And there's been no follow-up, and we're continuing to get threats. And I'm just wanting to know what's going on, so I'm filing a report with you now.
Okay. Is this the first time you've called this tip line?
Yes.
Okay. So how would we identify and locate them? Is there a name for the group?
Oh, absolutely. I have all kinds of information. The leader of this group, he runs the Small Foreign Faction. It's a shadow government that he's been running, and his name is Robert ADOLPH Enyart. It's ADOLPH ENYART.
I'm kind of slow. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So Robert Adolph, how do you spell the last name?
ENYART.
Is the head of what organization?
It's the ShadowGov.com, and that's the Small Foreign Faction.
.com, which is a small. How did you say it?
A Small Foreign Faction.
From what country?
He is a domestic terrorist group here in the United States.
Yeah, but you just told me foreign.
Right. Well, it's a play off of words because he has separated himself from the U.S. government. He's anti-government, so he has started his own group of assassins underground in his own government, and so he's a mind control manipulator, and so he likes to have double meanings and things, and so it's a small group of individuals within the U.S. government. Yeah, and he works as a pro-life pastor out of Denver or Arvada, Colorado.
Enyart works as a pro-life pastor in Denver, Colorado?
It's Arvada, but the church is called Denver Bible Church. Well, this goes back over a decade. We actually used to attend his church when we thought it was a pro-life church. And a couple years ago, we found ourselves under attack by his group in the church. And there's a dirty cop in Arapahoe County that also works with him. And there's several people I'd like to give you information about, but we'll stick to one person at a time. This guy, Bob Enyart, he goes by Bob, is a convicted child abuser. And when I say we were attacked, he decided to organize a campaign and a conspiracy against my family. I have 6 children, to take them, and they were going to murder them and frame us for the crime. And now when that was unsuccessful, he launched a campaign on the internet to try to do this, and we purchased his court documents and began profiling him and studying his behavior and his criminal documents for the past 20 years, and we had placed him at the scene of the crime at the JonBenet Ramsey murder in 1996, and we began exposing him, and once that occurred in 2012, then he organized Jessica Ridgway's abduction and Dylan Redwine's and dozens of other high-profile crimes. That's just for the FBI to figure out how many altogether. But we have lots of inside information, and we're whistleblowers, and we've been calling him out for 2 years now, and he's ignoring us. And so that should be interesting to you guys at the very least.
Well, it's possible that an investigator may wish to get in touch with you. Is there any phone number you can offer?
Yes, absolutely. It's 720-443-3264.
And can I get your name?
Yes, it's Danielle, Danielle, Kekoa, Kekoa.
Okay.
I have his date of birth and his FBI number and his social security number, and I also have the date of births of a couple of the other suspects I'd like to give you. But this is extremely serious because right now he does communicate with me. He's been communicating. In fact, he just had one of his little troll assassins call me last night and threaten me, and he's been threatening me online to kill us and kill our family. He's been doing this for some time now, but very recently he's been mocking the fact that he's getting away with outsmarting the law enforcement. And so he thinks this is really cute, that he's been pulling one over and on all the police jurisdictions in the in the country, for all I know, but for sure here locally.
Okay. Well, do you have like a home address for him?
Oh, yeah, I have several. I have, he has 3 known addresses, but the one where he's last registered is, it's 6126 Braun Court in Arvada.
B-R-A-U-N?
Yes.
Arvada, Colorado. Do you know the zip code?
Yep, I sure do. It's 80004.
Okay. And I think you going to give me an FBI number for Robert.
Yeah, I will do that. And the reason why this is so disturbing is because the police, like I said, and the FBI have been receiving the same information for at least 16 months. We tried to get a restraining order against him 2 years ago and were denied, and then we received death threats, and then it just began getting worse from there. But nobody has even so much have even done a little old-fashioned knock and talk and asked him the questions. We have websites put against him. We have all of his personal information all over the internet. I mean, I can give you the websites and you can find everything you need. And he won't even tell us to stop. He won't sue us. He just keeps threatening us. Okay? And so this is extremely serious, and they won't test his DNA. He left it on JonBenet. They won't go test it. They test our DNA. They've been harassing us and threatening arrest, taking our kids, all kinds of stuff. So we need Homeland Security to really take this seriously. And so his FBI number is 678532LA7.
Okay. Let me repeat it, okay?
Okay.
678-532-LA7.
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, just out of my own curiosity, you said something that I don't want to skip over too quickly. Are you saying that he was the person that murdered JonBenet Ramsey?
Yes, he is. And this is a fact. I have a website called Bob Enyart murdered JonBenetRamsey.com, and that's been up for a while now. And it has documents of all of his criminal history and everything exposing him. And Boulder police have been lying and ignoring our tips. And so...
Well, without going into excruciating detail, how did you determine that, and what kind of evidence did you have?
Okay, well, that's a very good question. Basically what we've done is we've profiled him, and he's an extreme religious psychopath, and he uses his anti-abortion extremism as a cover for child killing. He's a child killer, and so he goes against the abortionists. And specifically Dr. Warren Hearn. Dr. Warren Hearn is the late-term abortionist out of Boulder, and in the 90s, Kenneth Tyler Scott, the other domestic terrorist that works with Bob Enyart, they have been harassing the Boulder abortionists and other abortionists and threatening their lives for decades. And Dr. Warren Hearn wrote a piece to the FBI warning people about this domestic terrorist group and how they will go to extreme violence and measures to enforce their agenda. Now, why this is so interesting is because in 1996, actually I'll back up 1 year, in 1995, after many years of this harassment going on, Kenneth Tyler Scott had a restraining order put against him by Dr. Warren Hearn, and Kenneth Tyler Scott was placed in a mental institution and labeled as hypomanic, homicidal, and an extreme threat. Well, once the mental institution was threatened, Kenneth Tyler Scott was let out, and that was in December of 1995. And now, 1 year later, in 1996, December 17th, let me back up just a little bit. October 24th of 1996, Bob Enyart has a restraining order put against him for beating his children, and this is multiple times that he's been convicted of child abuse, and so he's very angry at this point, too much prior to JonBenet's death. And now, 8 days before JonBenet was found murdered, they decided to sue Boulder for $10 million and Dr. Warren Hearn and the mental health institution for violating their rights because they want to end child killing, supposedly, because they don't like legal child killing. And so 9 days before JonBenet was found murdered, they were going through this $10 million lawsuit. Now, this is all a publicity stunt. They protest abortionists every Christmas, every holiday, every weekend, and so this is something they do as a cover. And that was one of the many, many pieces of evidence. Now, if you go to ShadowGov.com, you'll read Bob Enyart's version of what happened to JonBenet, and you'll see. And now...
That's his website. That's where he tells his story.
Yes, exactly. That's where he uses his cover, and he projects. And so if you look into mental health issues like projection, identification, and psychopathy, this guy does everything in hypocrisy. And so when he's preaching against child killing, he's out killing children. And now the biggest piece of evidence, forget all the court documents and the criminal timeline and the behavior pattern and the fact that his DNA was left on JonBenet, the fact that he has been ignoring us, calling him JonBenet's murderer for 2 years, 16 months now, that is the most telling of all. And now if somebody wants to go knock on his door perhaps and ask him about it, that might be a start. But it's a fact. Boulder knows it, he knows it, and now we're just waiting for somebody to act. Because until, okay, so.
You know what? I think that this is an appropriate point for me to wrap up what we've got so far. You told me that this is the first call that you've had to this tip line, and I do not want to overwhelm investigators because there's an awful lot in here already.
Okay.
I've got your contact information. Boy, I hesitate to ask this, but is there one additional thing that you feel is extremely important that we shouldn't leave out at this time? After that, I do have to let you go.
Okay, yes. The other thing that you need to look at is you need to go to my website. It's called policerecordingskecoas.com, and they can find a good number of the recordings of all the police departments and the FBI and Internal Affairs that we've already had this conversation with. And so
I'm going to say the caller's website is slowly for me, please.
Police Recordings, Kecoas, KEKOAS.com.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that, okay?
Okay.
In fact, I'm just going to simply spell it.
Okay.
POLICERECORDIngsKEKOAS.com.
Close. It's POLICERECORDIngsKEKOAS.com.
Thank you for that correction.
Sure.
Okay,
and thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, but this is really serious. And I have 6 kids, and they keep threatening us, and we can't continue to be living with the police oblivious to this because he's going to continue to commit more crimes.
Thank you very much, and good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.